Yeah, I think that at this point and with this release, I can just about justify doing that. So hello, yeah, Reel 3 or EP3 was released today. It's the third and final EP before we get the full release of the latest Owl City album, Cinematic. I definitely say that it's the best reel so far. It certainly is the most consistent one. There isn't a single song on there that lets it down. Someone on Reddit posted saying New York City is the worst song on there, and it's still a really good song, and I completely sort of agree with that sentiment. But I'm just going to talk a bit about each song on there today, apart from New York City, because I've already done a whole video talking about that. So if you want to hear my thoughts on that, link is in the description there. So Cloud 9, now this is a song that has got various different things I really like about it, and let's just take a moment to appreciate that really cool synth lead melody thing that he puts in as the pre-chorus. I don't know if he's manipulated his voice or Abby's voice or both of them. It gives those sections just a little bit of extra life, and it's really nice to hear him using a synth sound for those little diddles that he always puts in his songs that isn't just a sort of generic Moog-esque fat sawtooth wave synth. The song is basically split up into 3 different keys, getting higher after each chorus, and initially I thought that this was sort of a slightly lazy way of him trying to make the song sound more interesting, but upon more listens, I've grown to really like it, because when the final chorus happens and he's kind of singing in quite a high register and there's a lot more power to it, it just sort of works having had that progression from this key up to this one. In terms of things like synth and percussion production, oh, try saying that 10 times. It's got a lot of influences from the things that he released on the Ultraviolet EP, you know, really powerful, punchy drums, very kind of full sounding synths, and a lot of energy to the song in general. And the chorus is just kind of great. Like, it's similar to my reaction to New York City, catchy and interesting, and when I just heard it for the first time, it just sort of made me smile, you know. It's a very wholesome chorus you've got there, Adam. My only issues with the song were I felt that upon the first couple of listens, the verses felt a bit too sort of disparate from the chorus. There wasn't a super obvious sort of link between the two, but then the more I listened to it, I got used to what the song was doing, and I just thought it was really good. And even with that taken into account, I think the production on the verses and the stuff that he's done with that synth line just kind of make up for that anyway. Also, from the sounds of things, Adam was never taught how to correctly pronounce the word lasso. He was really grasping to get that rhyming structure consistent, wasn't he? And I mean, maybe this is an American thing, I don't know. Maybe in America, everyone pronounces lasso. You can't just do that. If you want to rhyme a word with window, you've got to choose a word that actually rhymes with window instead of just saying lasso. It still doesn't rhyme. There are examples of this happening quite a lot. It's like you always hear, especially American artists, use the word mirror as a rhyming word because they just pronounce it mirror. Adam Young does that in dental care. I brush my teeth and look in the mirror. But I don't know, I'm English, he's American. This could just be a pronunciation thing, so no ill feeling intended there. The only other issue that I had with this song is in the choruses, it sounds quite similar to New York City. So I've imported Cloud 9 and New York City into here. I had to work out what the BPM was for Cloud 9 was the one that I used as the main file. 84 is the BPM for that. New York City was a little bit faster. It was more like 86, 87, but I've time stretched it. None of the verses from Cloud 9, because they're always changing key, are the same key that New York City was recorded in. It's quite sneaky, that, isn't it? So for the final pre-chorus and chorus, I've transposed New York City up by 1 semitone, and you'll hear exactly how well they sit together. I'll just play it from here.
Woke up when the world gets you down. We're on the way to New York City. Take my hand and see Manhattan never looks so pretty. Traveling to see the world's right. You never know if you never go. So your hand is in mine. Run away with me. Woke up when the world gets you down, and you're gonna get high.
It's almost like they're the same song. Anyway, moving on to the next track, Be Brave. First impression of this song was that it was a better and more instrumentally developed version of a variety of his scores, as well as Plant Life from All Things Bright and Beautiful. Lyrically, it's about him meeting his girlfriend Abby, and it's nice to hear him sing about that sort of thing in a more literal sense. Although, and this is purely personal preference on my part, whenever I hear songs about relationships and, you know, love or any of that kind of stuff, I prefer the ones that are really, really sad, and that's just me personally. You know, if I want to listen to a song about a relationship, I put on some Keaton Henson or Smog. Like, Lonely Lullaby will always be one of my favorite Owl City songs because it's just personal, but it's not too happy. But that's purely just me, and I think this song is nice. Again, like, it's kind of quite wholesome. At one point though, when he says the line, "In my hand I held a paper bird," I wish that he said plane. It kind of would have been a nice tie-in to the sky sailing stuff that he's written. Still, I think the structure of this track is really interesting in a way that the other two aren't, and that's not to say anything negative about them, but they're very just sort of, you know, intro, verse, chorus, middle, eight, chorus. But this one has got a lot more going on, and this is when I say it kind of reminds me a little bit of Plant Life and some of his other earlier things, is that there's a lot happening in the song and throughout it, and you're never quite sure where it's going to go. And I love the sudden sort of post-rocky, harder, heavier influences that he put into the track. They came out of nowhere. It's got a really great combination of influence from his older music, his more recent music, stuff from Midsummer Station. You know, it sounds a bit like Embers when it gets a bit more rocky, and you've got a load of inspiration from his scores in the orchestral elements to the track. But speaking of that, a Reddit user brought something to my attention that I simply couldn't ignore. Obviously, you can hear the huge sort of hark back to Return to Earth, one of the tracks on his 2016 score, Apollo 11. That wasn't a problem for me whatsoever. I think Return to Earth is one of my favorite tracks from the whole score project. I've listened to that hundreds of times. I think it's brilliant. But in that section of Be Brave, where he's singing that vocal melody over the top of that, it turns out it's already been done. If you go to the SoundCloud of a user called Subsound, then you'll find that he did a vocal cover of Return to Earth about 2 years ago. I'll just play it for you now so you can hear what I mean. And this is that section from Be Brave. Once again for comparison, Subsound. Owl City. Bit of a coincidence that, isn't it? I'm not trying to discredit Adam Young or accuse him of plagiarism, like genuinely I'm not. So you've heard the comparisons, you know, you just make up your own mind about your thoughts on it. Anyway, Be Brave is genuinely a great song, and it really showcases the various writing and production styles that Adam has become really affluent in over the years. At the moment, Cloud9 is my favorite, but I feel like Be Brave will become my favorite with more listens, because there's a lot more going on in the track. It's one of those songs I know I'll kind of discover more to it the more I listen to it. Whereas Cloud9 is a bit more like Owl City Crack, you know, it's amazing immediately, but it might not be able to hold that for very long. So there we go, those are my thoughts on Reel 3 from Owl City's upcoming album Cinematic. I can't wait for the full album to be released, partly just so I can stop making these videos about it. And thank you very much to all of those people who replied to my post on the Owl City subreddit. Sorry that I didn't get a chance to, you know, respond to all of the messages on there. I know it's been locked now, so I can't. Yeah, I didn't realize how much detail people would go into on Reddit. It was quite astounding. So thank you very much to all of those who gave me all that information. It was really, really interesting to read through your thoughts, and I'll probably be lurking around on the Owl City subreddit later this evening as well. That concludes this video. Those are my thoughts, but I would love to know what you think. What are your favorite songs, either from this reel or from all of the reels so far? I personally think that he could have taken the best 1 or 2 songs from each of the reels and got rid of all of the others and put that into one sort of condensed EP and just released that. That could be, you know, the preceding EP before the full album comes out. What are your favorite tracks? What are your thoughts on this reel? And yeah, what do you think of my opinions? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Do you hate the things that I'm saying or think that I shouldn't say them? That's fine as well. It's all your opinions. So thank you so much for watching. I really do hope that you have enjoyed this, and have an absolutely fantastic day, and I will see you very soon.